Hello everyone, I'm Jaideep Singh Chahal. Just another day at the Trails Garage, and I thought I'll take this opportunity today to discuss with you very commonly asked question: width, offset, negative offset, positive offset, backspacing, and all of these questions that come into a person's mind when you start researching for wheel tire options for your vehicle. So we've got Hilux here for some work behind us. What we are going to do is we are going to install all of these one by one, and I'll try to demonstrate what and how offset is or backspacing is and how does it work. We've got a nice combination here. Starting with, we've got the standard steel wheel. So this steel wheel is what comes as a spare in our Hiluxes. So this is 17 by 7.5, and this plate is what decides the backspacing or the offset. So this is very highly positive offset. This is something around a plus 45, I think. They're not printed on the rim, but that is around what it is. So that means half, and beyond that 45 mm further this sits out. So this wheel is really going to stick inside. So we'll quickly demonstrate. It becomes very difficult when you're just juggling around numbers. So to begin with, we've got the maximum offset, which is the steel wheel. We've got wheel number 1 installed. This is the standard spare tire, spare wheel set for a standard model Hilux. 265/65 R17. This is a 17 by 7.5, I think plus 45 offset. So what we need to check is we've got this contraption to actually trace the line of the fender. So this is the fender line, because the general question is always that I want my wheels to sit right in line with my fender or the standard flush fit. We'll get clarity on something, that just the wheel width does not dictate how far out your tire sits. It is also the height and width of the tire as well. So when we check the wheel is roughly 3.5 inches inside. When we check the furthest point on the tire, it is roughly 1/4 to 3 inches, or we can say 70 mm. So basically, this setup, it's sitting 70 mm inside the fender. Then we have an 18 by 8J. This is the standard wheel for our top model Hilux. We're at setup number 2. This is the most commonly found setup in Hiluxes. This is a first oversize, I would say, 285/60 R18 Geolander. The tire has definitely seen better days, but this is the first upsize that a lot of people with stock suspension go for. And what we have inside is the standard alloy wheel. So we'll quickly check. So compared to the 70 on the steel wheel, this is sitting at 60. So this is 60 mm inside the fender, so it is 10 mm outside than the steel wheel. And at this point, it is roughly 85. So it is 5 mm outside the steel wheel collar. As it is pretty visible from the measurement, it has now started moving outward, and the wheel arch looks fuller. Then we've got this beautiful set of KMCs. So these KMCs are 17 by 8.5J. Mind it, the height of the rim has no role to play in how far out it sits. So even if we use a 17 or an 18, the width parameters do not change. So this is a 17 by 8.5, 0 offset, ET0. Moving on to the next upgrade, this is my favorite size, something that can be called the golden upsize for the Hilux. This is a 17-inch beautiful KMC 555, machined finish on, fitted with the new G018 Geolander. This is pretty close to being flush. This looks completely in line visibly as well, and this is my preferred upsize. So here what we can see is this is sitting 22 mm, almost no, it's exact 20 mm inside at the tire size, and it is roughly 40 mm, 42 mm at the wheel width. So this is probably the nicest looking setup because the fenders are curved. This part slightly sticks out. It kind of covers for the right fit. I think this is the ideal upsize in my opinion. Width of tire is going to, change a lot. We are going to see that very soon. Next is the mud-on chumble. This is my favorite. This is the olive green chumble. This is again a 9J0, but with a wider tire. The factors which come into play when we are trying to decide how wide the tire sits on the vehicle. So this is one of the major factors again. The width of the tire as well plays a very important role. Moving to the next size, I think I have just too many favorites. This is the Maxis Razer in 285/65 R18. Again, very good size, 32.4 inches. Probably one of the tallest setups that you can go for. So this tire again is a 285, but the wheel now is again a 9J0. So we've gained almost half an inch in the wheel width, and the offset stays 0. Now when we look at the tire placement, this is barely 14 mm outside at the tire level. When we look at the rim level, this is 32 mm outside inside the fender. Different angles, these will look exactly flush, just like the other one. A few mm here and there doesn't really change it, but wheel being wider, the tire bubbles better, it sits wider and it looks much wider. So same 285s, you must be noticing the tires with change in brand, with change in height, they start to look completely different. And in the end, we've got this lovely beadlock method. This is in a 17 by 9J minus 12. So minus 12, this is supposed to have the maximum offset in this range that we have with us. Offsets and widths will also range into 9J plus 5s, 9J minus 18s, 10Js, 9.5Js. There's a huge variety, but these are the commonly found ones. Finally, at the last option that we have to display, 2570R17 on a set of beautiful bead grip method. This is a 17 by 9J minus 12. So this is minus 12 offset. This is actually the most ideal, I would say. There's barely like 2 mm, but as you see, our mark is actually touching the bottom. The vehicle has just come down from the lift, so the top is slightly inward, but this is actually sitting 100% flush. There is barely any margin at the tire placement side, and the alloy is sitting close to 25 mm inside the fender width, and the tire after fitting is completely flush. So of course this will need a lift. Most of these setups will need a lift, some trimming here and there to accommodate, but the 100% flush fit that we say, this is the 100% flush fit. At the bottom, as due to the pressure and weight, the tire is expanding. We can see the mark is touching at the bottom and barely missing it at the top. So this is the exact 100% flush fit that we can say. So the whole idea of the video was to show or demonstrate how a very minute change in wheel width and offset and the width of the tire can change how the vehicle looks. Generally, when I speak to people, they're unable to appreciate the difference a very small difference in mm makes as well. Now here, what we've been able to see is the entire shuffling is in a margin of 25 to 30 mm at this point, and that alone changes the entire look of the vehicle. When deciding or when looking for a flush fit or a wide truck look, it is not just the offset of the wheel, it is the width of the tire, the height of the sidewall. Taller the sidewall, more it bubbles, more it sticks out. So there are a lot of factors that come into play. Thank you so much.